Hey guys, it's Ben again with Coyote Outdoors here, and we have a problem like I think most people with truck campers have the same problem, and it's always storage space. When you want to go camping, you want to bring wood with you or a generator, supplies. It's always really hard, especially with a trunk camper, and we've got a single cab truck, so we don't have the luxury of having a back seat, the space for that. So we went out to Harbor Freight today, and we picked us up one of their 750-pound capacity cargo carriers here. Folds up when you're not using it, which I think will be pretty convenient for us. But we're gonna go ahead and give this thing a shot. I'll show you how it comes in the box. We'll do an unboxing, and we paid, it's $79.99 full price with a 20% off coupon. We paid $67.90 for it. I think that's a pretty fair price. So let's get this thing open, and we'll see how it comes packaged and what all you get with the kit, and we'll get it put together and on the truck. Alright, so let's see what comes in this box here. Get her open. Alright. Alright, don't look like anything too complicated in here. Here we've got one half with a reflector on it. That's another reason I got this one. I like the idea of having the reflectors on the back. A couple of brackets. Trailer hitch. Brackets. Must be our nuts and bolts. Well, it's our nuts and bolts and our bracket that allows us to fold this thing up when we're not using it, which is one of the main features I liked. If you want to go to the store or something after you've got this thing unloaded, you can just fold this up so you don't have it trailing behind your car all the time. Seems like it's got a pretty decent, I'm going to guess that's a nice powder coat finish on it. I don't think you're going to have to worry about that getting scratched and tore up too easily. Alright, that's what you get inside the box. Let me go get some tools and we'll get this thing thrown together. Alright, everything here seems pretty straightforward. What you're going to end up needing is a 17mm, a 10mm, and I grabbed an adjustable because you got these little guys here, so you're going to need something to hold on to the back of those, and not going to lie, I couldn't find any of my 10mm wrenches. They have disappeared somewhere on me. But we start out by putting the two halves together here. You got two different plates. You've got one without a hole and one with a hole that hold the two halves together. Now what's going to hold those together is all the little bolts you got in the package. So you got about 12 of these little bolts that got washers and lock nuts. And those are your 10mm. Rocks are hurting my knees a little bit, so let me get in here with this piece of cardboard. Now, like I said, you got two different plates. One that says Hallmaster on it, and the other one's got a hole. The one with the hole goes on the side without the reflectors. So what we're going to want to do is get a handful of these together. And it goes turned inwards. Got the bracket, it goes turned inwards towards the side there. Remember, your washer always goes on the nut side of the bolt, not on the bolt head side of the bolt. You know, I'm not insulting anybody's intelligence on that one. It's just, I've been a mechanic for about 15 years now. Heavy equipment. Been in the heavy equipment industry, the aircraft industry, and I was even a millwright for a couple of years. And so I run into professional mechanics all the time who seem to forget simple stuff like that. Alright, well, I'll get back to you guys once these are mounted up for the next step. Alright, now I went and did a few things. First of all, I went and got me an electric impact, my nut driver, to help put this together a little quicker. And I did find that 10mm wrench, one of the about probably 15 I own. The next step we're going to be doing is we've got these cross members. They're going to go on the bottom side of this. Then you've got some support brackets that are going on the bottom side of this. And you've got 8 of these nut and bolt combos. These are carriage bolts. With the this is where your 17mm is going to come into handy. And then you've got 2 different lengths. You've got short ones and you've got longer ones. The longer ones go on the outside because they're going to pass through the rack, the cross member, and the supports here. And then your shorter ones go on the inside because they're just going to be passing through the cross members. Let me go ahead and get that done, and I'll get back with you guys. Alright, so here's where we're at with this now. I've got the cross members in, and I've got the supports on. But here's a tip to keep in mind. Don't tighten these support bolts down until you put this center member in here because these have to squish. And as you can tell, there's play. And if you tighten these down before you put these center bolts in, you won't have the play. I think you'll just end up mashing stuff. So let's go ahead and get that center cross member in. That's what these last 2 big bolts are for. And get back to you in a second. Alright, let me show you what I got into here on this. I don't know if I just got unlucky or what's going on here, but this bracket is one of the first pieces you put on. I guess I'd recommend checking to see if you had the same issue, because I went to go put this bolt through and I don't have a hole. The piece is there like it was supposed to be punched out at one point in time, and it just didn't get all the way punched out. I'm going to go in my garage here and get a punch and see if I can knock that square out of there. But I'm really hoping I can. But if I can't, we're just going to have to end up drilling our own hole. So I don't know if this will happen with all of them, if it was a manufacturing error, or if I just got an unlucky one. But let me go try to get this thing punched out here. We'll see what happens. Alright guys, so here's what I ended up having to do. If you look here, that is the hole on the one side. And here's where the hole was supposed to be punched out on this side. There's supposed to be a square there that's supposed to be punched out. To focus. Well, I ended up having to drill it. I beat on it and could not get that tab to punch out. So I had to drill a hole in it. And well, as far as I'm concerned, if you're like a lot of us and you live on the road, that could be a problem. So I would check these. If you don't have a workbench and a drill and stuff at home, if you buy this kit, I would definitely check it before you leave the Harbor Freight parking lot to make sure all your holes are where they should be. Alright, well luckily we got that back together. That's all it needed, was that hole drilled out. All we got left to do is put the pivot on here, which is this one big bolt. just like that. This one you're going to need a big adjustable for. And I did grab one of those, sitting right over there. And then your pin, which allows you to pivot this thing up and down when you're not using it. Other than that, it's all together. Give me a second, we'll get it thrown on the truck here and we'll finish up the review. Alright guys, here she is, fully assembled on the back of the truck. This is what it looks like folded up on the back. Not too bad. And then to fold it down, you just pull the pin, lower it, drops into place, and there you go. Can't be any simpler than that. 750 pounds. I'm 275 respectively. So, and this thing feels as stable as can be. Little side to side wobble where it's got some play in the trailer hitch, but nothing you're going to do about that, nor do I suspect you can. But just to recap on it, I had that issue where I had to drill out that hole. I had a couple other issues, but those are my fault. They were no fault of the rack. Like one of these little bolts here, using my drill driver, I actually stripped it out. Luckily, I conveniently had almost the exact bolt in the garage, so that wasn't a big deal. And the other thing I ran into, I really wasn't expecting to, is the guy who owned the truck before me had a locking hitch pin in the hitch. Now, I've owned this truck for quite a while, but I've never had a reason to take the hitch out, so I never realized this was a locking hitch pin. Now, the guy gave me, I kid you not, a ring with probably 60 keys on it when I bought this truck, and his response was, I don't know what they all go to, but I'm sure some of them go to this truck. To this day, I have not found one of those keys that went to this truck, because like the key that unlocks my shower on the outside, I didn't have, and none of those keys fit that. Same with this. None of those keys fit this locking hitch pin. And I give credit to whoever made this, and I have no idea because there's no manufacturing marks on it, but that took me about a half hour with a cutoff wheel to get out of the back of that truck. And that thing's been in there for a long time, judging by the rust and the wear. But just as a quick recap, if you're gonna put this together yourself, you're gonna need a 10mm wrench and either 2 wrenches, 2 sockets, something, but you're going to need 2 things and 10mm for both sides of these nuts. I use my drill driver, but of course, you know, if you've got all the time in the world and you don't have power tools, you can't put this together with hand tools. Get a 10mm wrench in my socket. The other thing you're going to need is a 17mm, and you only need one because these are all carriage bolts, so they're captured in the actual piece itself, so you only got to worry about tightening down one side. I just, again, got a ratchet here with the 17mm. For that big pin that actually holds this to that pivot, you're going to need a big adjustable and something to hold the other side of that bolt. I just went with an adjustable and a pair of channel locks, and it worked great. And that was about it. I mean, I never used this little one I got out. There's my ratchet. And I grabbed those 2. I never ended up using them. Overall, I'm pretty happy with this thing. I like how wide it is. I've got the dimensions here. The dimensions on it are 60 inches long, 19 inches wide, and 2.7 inches tall. So 19 inches here to here, 60 inches from side to side. Now, like I said, Harbor Freight did have a 500-pound model, but it was considerably smaller. And it's just got a couple slats. It doesn't have this nice expanded metal in it. And I just feel like stuff would fall through there if you didn't put a board or something in it. And they had an aluminum one, but it was the exact same way. It just had the slats, so you'd have to put a board or something on it unless you're just carrying big stuff like a cooler, because it would fall through the gaps. Now, one of the other ones they had there was a 350-pound capacity one, and it went on an ATV. And I really considered that one, because that one, like this one, comes straight out the bumper. It actually comes out, steps up, and goes over. So depending on what you wanted to use it for, if 350 pounds works for you, I could see that one being very useful as a bench in your receiver while you're at a campground or something. But I just plan on carrying my firewood and my grill and maybe a tote on this, so I won't even come close to the 750-pound capacity. But overall, I'm happy with it. I just really had that one hiccup where that bolt hole wasn't drilled. And other than that, it seems pretty good for $67. You know, some of these I looked at online were in the $250 range, and just for what I'm using it for, I don't need that. But if you have any concerns or questions or anything, feel free to comment. Subscribe. I appreciate it. I'm a new channel trying to get started out here, and a lot of our stuff is going to revolve around outdoors. Obviously, we're Coyote Outdoors. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it.